On in the European Parliament, I'm now joined by one of its members, German politician Alexander Alvaro. Alexander, thank you very much for being here with us in the program. Now, the U.S. is demanding more and more data, as we know, from the European Union, but what sort of guarantees does it provide that the information won't be misused?
Well, basically, within the agreements, if there are any guarantees of the ones we had to negotiate in, because, of course, we're very interested that the data of our citizens is not in any way abused or misused, because, for example, we have managed to have now an EU official in Washington overviewing the extraction and the use of the data, because, of course, among partners there's trust, but it's always better to be on the control side, too.
In your opinion, why does the United States need so much personal information on travelers going to the States?
Well, the United States are explaining their demand for the personal data with the need to fight terrorism, though it is true that within Europe we sometimes have the doubt if this amount of personal data, including social security numbers, question of religion, are really necessary in the fight against terrorism. So within our ongoing negotiations with the US, we definitely are asking for proof if the requested data is in total necessary, and we are trying to limit the number of data sets which are actually not being requested but sent over to the United States.
Well, so far it seems like it's a one-way deal, but tell us if there has been or if there's going to be any reciprocity in this.
Well, reciprocity is one of the key elements we're trying to work on. It is truly not necessarily very easy in the negotiations to achieve that, but to guarantee that, for example, within the transfer of financial transaction data, we will have reciprocity, the European Union will work on a system where it will be able to extract its financial transaction data by itself based on own software system. And once that is in place and we are able to send the data to the United States for the purpose of counterterrorism, we also will request data from the United States, which then will be examined by our intelligences too.
Well, some may actually think, looking at what's going on in Europe and the reaction to this, that especially given the fact that some countries are already giving in to the U.S. pressures, why is it that Europe, to some, it may seem that Europe is reluctant to give in, to resist, rather, to demands of the United States?
Well, because we certainly have different standards concerning data protection and a different approach towards the data of our citizens, maybe than the United States. We feel that we are much more in charge of protecting the interests of our citizens, and especially how their personal data is dealt with. So there is a general reluctancy to hand out data of our personal citizens, and in that case not only to the US, but for us it's important whenever we hand it out to our partners that we actually know what they're doing with the data, if it's distributed among different agencies, or even worse, passed on to other countries.
And Alexander, you're representing Germany in the European Parliament, and your country has already complied with the U.S. demands. You were just earlier talking about the reaction to this on the official level, but what about the people in general? Do they think it was a good idea?
Well, it depends definitely who you would ask, because some people are very concerned about their personal data and are very reluctant in general if any authority is in charge of them, distributes them, examines them, or even does data mining. Some might only focus on the security side and believe whatever measure is necessary to fight terrorism, they will give into it. I think somewhere the truth is in between, and I believe also that the vast majority of our population questions if it is necessary that any sort of personal information, be it credit card number, personal details, address, whatever, is transferred to another country. And basically, in this special issue you've been mentioning, with the US, as much as we understand us as partners, we do question the tone of the request, because blackmailing is one thing, cooperation certainly is another one.
Okay. Alexander Alvaro, German politician, a member of the European Parliament, thanks very much indeed for sharing your views with us here in the program on our team.